Formula 1 is now starting to look like an episode of the Oprah Winfrey Show. You get a street track, you get a street track, you get a street track, you all get a street track. But this time, instead of having lots of people whooping and cheering, you've got the sounds of someone taking one of those 50 caliber sniper rifles and blowing the foot clean off. Yes, Formula 1 has announced yet another street track and seems to have annoyed the vast majority of the fanbase with one simple JPEG uploaded to social media. Because another street track in a Formula 1 calendar that seems to have a lot, well, it's just total saturation, to be honest.
Complete global saturation.
Since 1991, the Spanish Grand Prix has been held at the Circuit de Catalunya near Barcelona, while other circuits in Spain, such as Montjuic, also in Barcelona, Valencia, Jerez and Jarama have also played host to a Grand Prix, Spanish Grand Prix or otherwise. And the circuit on the eastern coast of Spain has often come under criticism for boring racing and the fact that the teams over the years have become too familiar with it, as it's often used for pre-season testing, and in the days when the teams could test as much as they wanted to, it was a popular choice, along with Estoril because the weather was often perfect for those test sessions. Now, though, from 2026, Madrid will be the host of the Spanish Grand Prix. The race will actually be moving back to the capital of Spain because the Jarama circuit, 20 miles north of the city, used to host the Spanish Grand Prix prior to, like, Jerez and Barcelona and places like that. But while the Jarama circuit was to the north of Madrid, this new street circuit, which will have a mix of purpose-built and city street construction, will be around the IFEMA Exhibition Centre, which is in between one of the northeast suburbs of Madrid and Barajas International Airport. So imagine if the British Grand Prix was held around the National Exhibition Centre in Birmingham. That's basically what they're going for here. Subject to FIA homologation, this track will run clockwise around the main buildings of the Exhibition Centre, then cross under the M11 motorway, have a purpose-built track section in what appears to be unused land on the top right of this screenshot, just above the football pitches and sports complex, and head back under the motorway and back onto the orbital roads. But zooming in a bit, you'll see that this proposed layout will actually use these little roads in between the buildings as well as the actual streets, with some of the roundabouts in the area potentially being ripped up and modified to become part of the track. One of the roundabouts will become some sort of hairpin type thing, by the looks of it. Now there are some legitimate reasons for doing this, but it only becomes a legitimate reason if you're actually honest about the reasons, if that makes any sense. Allow me to explain. The Circuit de Catalunya, and by extension Jerez and Aragon, are quite difficult to get to. Really, the only way of getting there is by car, and Motorland Aragon is in the middle of bloody nowhere, as much of the middle of bloody nowhere as Manicure is. The nearest airport to the circuit that I can get to from Birmingham is Barcelona, actually. I suppose you can fly out to Barcelona and then fly out to Zaragoza, but it doesn't detract from the fact that you need to get there by road at the end of it. Jerez is a little bit easier, for want of a better phrase. To get there, you need to fly to Malaga, Marbella, Seville or Gibraltar first. But it's still a trek. The TLDR of all of this is that they moved it to Madrid because 90% of the people visiting the Grand Prix can get there by public transport. They can land at Barajas and get on a tram or a train or a bus and get to the track. Easy. Done. And then they can go into the city centre afterwards where their hotel might be, or to get some food or whatever it is people in Spain do at night. There's also the words carbon, net neutral and other words being thrown around in the press release. Formula 1 is on a mission to be carbon neutral by 2030, so by having the first season of the new engine regulations in the middle of a capital city, it's their way of going, look, F1 cars are cleaner than they've ever been, they're quieter than they've ever been, and we can do more of this now because we couldn't 20 years ago. And there will be concerns from people in the comments saying, yeah, but a lot of people will have flown in, so that's not exactly green, which is a valid argument. But like F1 cars, aircraft are the quietest and most economical / clean they've ever been. Aviation accounts for just 2% of the world's global CO2 emissions, and that's with, at the time of recording, 9,720 commercial airliners in the air right now, according to FlightAware.com. But one statistic I did learn today, thanks to Autosport's little reaction piece, podcasty piece, talking head piece that they did last night, is that the most polluting annual sports event in the world is the Tour de France. And that's on bicycles. It's because of all the people moving around to be in particular spots on the routes of each stage of the tour. But they also explained in that same video is that Mugello and Barcelona were the two circuits that tick the most boxes in terms of sustainability, for want of a better phrase. So yeah, I don't understand why they didn't just keep it at Barcelona, but then again, there's the accessibility issues. But holding street races in capital cities and encouraging people to go on public transport and stuff, isn't that what the FIA created Formula E for? Nice, quiet racing that's not going to piss off the locals. You've taken something that was intended for another series and gone, yeah, we'll do that too. What's also annoyed people is that this circuit has walked straight into a 10-year contract, 2026 to 2035 inclusive. So other circuits are going to be looking over their shoulders and thinking, contract's up soon, this ain't good. Suzuka and Silverstone have their contracts run out this year. Spa, Imola, Zandvoort, Shanghai, Mexico and Monaco end of 2025. Vegas also expires at the end of next year, but there's the option for 10 years on that as well. Baku is end of 2026 along with Kota and Barcelona, which, as we've already established, is swapping with Madrid. Singapore in 2028, Interlagos and Red Bull Ring 2030. Of those earlier races mentioned, the safe ones are probably going to be the Red Bull Ring and Zandvoort, given the popularity of Verstappen, but even the older historical and legacy circuits are going to be looking over their shoulders. Spa's time in Formula 1 was up in the air at one point and could be again. Silverstone seems to be in danger of being dropped every time the contract is up for renewal, and there are some out there thinking that Silverstone could finally be dropped for a street race in London. So long as they pay the congestion charge, lol. You'd think that politics has a part to play in all this as well. Madrid versus Barcelona is more than just El Clasico. There's a lot of Spanish nationalism versus Catalan nationalism and other bits and pieces like that, but all that's a bit too complicated, so we'll just move on. There's probably going to be people in the comments saying that the two best races last year were on street circuits. The thing is, two races that were able to break the monotony of one driver sodding off into the distance every time was always going to be welcome, whether it happened on a street circuit or a so-called real track. It also doesn't mean that it's a winning formula for good racing. Those same two races that were good last year might be crap this year. You never know. But it does make you wonder what the hell is going through the commercial right holders. But it does make you wonder what the hell is going through Domenicali's head right now and the rest of the commercial rights holders. Dumping Barcelona for Madrid. Okay, Barcelona, dull races more often than not, but still, replacing it for another track, it's probably about money, isn't it? It's always about money, but like I say, the likes of Silverstone will be looking over their shoulder and start clamouring to find every last pound down the back of the sofa to make sure it can pay the hosting fees. But it should be better off than the last new track that was in Spain. The Valencia street circuit in the Docklands there has now been left to ruin, and there were some things here and there politically as well. The mayor at the time was arrested in 2014 on corruption charges, and she was also suspected of misappropriating public funds, probably to pay for the Grand Prix. But that's a video for another day if I can find the info. It will also depend on whether Carlos Sainz is still competitive in 2026. Will he be at Ferrari? Somewhere else in Formula 1? Will he even be in Formula 1 at this point and gone to sports cars or followed his dad into the WRC or something? Because Fernando probably won't be around by that point. No Spanish interest, no stands full. What's the point? It'll be the same if Verstappen leaves. Zandvoort will be dead. But like a lot of people online, I'm struggling to get excited by this prospect. It's yet another street circuit. I'm not one of these real track types of people, but when you have South Africa screaming to be back on the calendar and a vocal portion of the current F1 fanbase in Africa and further afield saying, yes, Kyle Army, that'll be cool, it kind of stamps on the wishes of F1 fans and goes against the fact that in 2021, F1 bosses said, yeah, it's important, we need to listen to the fans. And I think with this announcement, they'll definitely be listening to a cacophony of booing. So then, some opinions on the new proposed Madrid street track thing. If this thing has made you think things about the thing, then like this thing and click the subscribe button thing and ring the bell thing so you never miss out on anything that I do here. Massive thanks to the mad lads at Patreon for the continued support. And if you want to help with the picture purchasing piggy bank, then a link to Patreon will be in the description, along with links to Discord, socials, and any affiliate links that I've got. Well, there's super thanks and memberships if that's something that you want to do. So until next time, I've been AdmiralLaWind. Have a great day wherever you are, and adios.